Hi guys, Spud here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Spud Ball. Um, in today's episode, we are going to be doing our UEFA Champions League phase predictions because obviously the format has changed. Um, so I'll firstly kind of go over what the Champions League draw is about. I'll show you all of the each team's matches, which are on the UEFA website, and then the 8 teams that I think will automatically qualify for the last 16, 9th to 24th. Which will be in the playoffs. And then obviously the other teams that aren't there will be the ones going home. If you do enjoy, please do like the video and subscribe if you are new. Um, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. So the Champions League draw was obviously a bit different this year. It's a league phase, so you had 4 pots of 9, and you play a home and a away match against a team from each pot. So every single team has not equal opponents as such, because other teams like Liverpool and PSG, for example, got harder games than, let's say, Arsenal or Manchester City. Um, but you play 2 teams from each pot, but you can't play against more than 2 from one nationality, and you can't match up against someone from your nationality. So, for example, Aston Villa couldn't play Arsenal, Man City, or Liverpool. Um, it was all done via a computer, except that you had to obviously draw the balls out, and then at the live draw, Cristiano Ronaldo would press his Champions League button, and then that would randomly allocate all of the opponents for these teams via a supercomputer. And it was a really long process, and obviously you had the start of the draw where they just talk non-stop, which is kind of what I would do as well if I was there. But yeah, we're just gonna get straight into the teams, who each team got. So Madrid. So this is how it works. So obviously you have your home game, pot one, and your away game, pot one. So Madrid got Dortmund and Liverpool. Milan and Atalanta, Salzburg, Lille, Stuttgart, and Stade Brest. Um, I'd say the only difficult games for Madrid will probably be Atalanta, and Liverpool might give them a challenge, but I expect Madrid to do pretty well with what they've got. Man City got Inter, PSG, Bruges, Juventus, Feyenoord, Sporting Club, and Sparta Praha and Slovan Bratislava. I actually think Manchester City will probably win every single game here. So yeah, I think it'll be a pretty comfortable for City. Bayern Munich have PSG, Barcelona, Benfica, Shakhtar Donetsk, Dinamo Zagreb, Feyenoord, Slovan Bratislava, and Villa. Some interesting games there. PSG have Man City, Bayern, Atletico, Arsenal, PSV, Salzburg, Girona, and Stuttgart. So yeah, I think PSG have been bit harshly treated here in the draw. Man City and Bayern's not nice. I think Atletico and Arsenal is really bad for pot two. But I think we'll have to see. But I think them top 4 games will be interesting because we need to kind of see where PSG are at the Champions League level without Kylian Mbappe. Then we have Liverpool, Real Madrid, Leipzig, Leverkusen, AC Milan, Lille, PSV, Bologna, and Girona. So Real Madrid, obviously, I'm going to go into a little bit more depth for Liverpool because obviously it's Liverpool. Real Madrid, awful. When I saw that we were guaranteed to play Madrid, I was like, this is going to be shit. Leipzig, however, are probably the worst team in pot one. So I think that's a good game for Liverpool, but it won't be an easy one, of course. But they haven't played teams in the Champions League before, and I do think that they will lose 1 or 2 games in their Champions League group. They can't just rely on the 90th minute added time for the rest of eternity. AC Milan aren't the same team that they used to be. Lille are not bad. PSV are obviously quite good in Holland, but Holland's Holland. Obviously, Gakpo reunion. Bologna and Girona, who obviously have been asset stripped. So I think like teams like Girona, Bologna, and Stuttgart are going to struggle in this competition because they've lost a lot. They've lost their key players. You know, Xerxes, Calafiori, and Thiago Motta, obviously the coach. Dobvik, Alex Garcia, um, Savio, and obviously Stuttgart have lost like Girassi, Anton, um, and Ito as well. Inter, pretty solid. I think Inters are all right. Maybe three bad ones. Um, See, Dortmund aren't bad on paper. Borussia Dortmund aren't bad, but I do think that some of these opponents that they're playing could surprise them. That they're definitely an interesting one, Dortmund, because we don't really know how they're going to play under Nuri Sahin. Leipzig, I'd say Leipzig's games are okay. I think they've done well, really, in pot one. Liverpool at home and Inter away. It could have been a lot worse. I actually think they're quite bad ones, though. Juve and Atletico. I think Barcelona here, with obviously the financial troubles, that they can't even afford to loan Bajedic to financial fair play. I think Barca have done okay here. Um, I actually think that these three games will be interesting. I actually think this Monaco game is going to be interesting. Um, yeah, Barca's definitely one to watch, but they're looking quite good under Hansi Flick at the moment. Leverkusen, Inter, Liverpool, Milan, Atletico, Salzburg, Feyenoord, Sparta Prague, and Brest. Realistically, Bayer Leverkusen will only lose one, I think, one um, game here in that group. I think Atletico have done okay. I'd say pretty solid for Atletico. Atalanta have three bad games and the rest of them are alright, but I think that they can put up an okay fight against Barcelona potentially. I think Juventus have got, again, relatively difficult. It's interesting to see how they play under Motta. Benfica, I think Benfica have got a really difficult task ahead of them, to be honest. I think they're going to struggle. Arsenal have got a pretty straightforward. I think Arsenal will win six of their matches at least. They might win seven. I think they don't lose a single one though. Club Brugge, but see, the thing is, you've got teams like Villa in pot four, where I think Bruges lose to Villa and stuff like that. Shakhtar, okay, not great really for Shakhtar, but they've always been a steady team in Europe. I think Milan accept the three of the top games here, except Bruges. I think Milan have got quite a nice league phase here. Feyenoord, again, okay, but obviously they've not got Arne Slot, and they've actually haven't won a game yet in the Eredivisie this season. Sporting Club, not bad games, I would say. A couple of bad ones, that's it. I think PSV have do okay here as well. Dinamo Zagreb, a few decent games for Zagreb, but will it be enough to get into the playoffs? We'll have to see. Salzburg, I think, honestly, a few games that are all right here, a couple that they might be able to sneak something. We'll have to see what Pep Linders can do, but I will be keeping a close eye on Salzburg, obviously. Lille, I think Lille have got quite a hard task ahead of them, but you never know in football. Red Star have I think Red Star actually have a really difficult task to get through. Young Boys, it's not too bad for Young Boys, but they are currently bottom of the Swiss league, yet the big Galatasaray somehow. I actually think Celtic have a really nice run here. This is the thing about the league phase. You've got teams in pot three that are getting better, getting easier draws than teams in pot one, but I don't know if I like that or not, to be honest. Bratislava, quite hard for them, I would say. Monaco's games are quite difficult, but I actually think Monaco are a decent team and are probably the second best team in pot four behind Villa. I think Sparta Praha's games are okay. Aston Villa, let's see, so they have Munich, Leipzig, Juventus, Club Brugge, Celtic, Young Boys, Bologna, and Monaco. Not easy, but I think they've got enough to get into the playoffs. Bologna actually have I think Bologna might have one of the hardest draws here. I know they don't really have any big teams in pot two, but like they've got the hardest draw for pot four. I think Bologna, with losing their three most important players and staff, I think they're in trouble. Also think Girona are in trouble, and I think they've been dealt quite a nasty draw here. Arsenal and Milan in pot two. And again, the same with Stuttgart, PSG, Madrid, Atlanta, Juventus. It's going to be tough for them. And then Sturm Graz from Austria, not too hard, but it's obviously going to. They're playing teams like Leipzig, where Leipzig have way better players than they do, so they have to try and get results in those games. And Stade Brest, yeah, Stade Brest have quite a difficult draw. So let's go through the teams that I think are going to get through. So these are the teams that I've gone for. Let me just double check that yeah, I had to just check I've got 8 and 16 there because that'd have been embarrassing if I didn't. So these are in no particular order. So the 8 teams that I think will finish in the top 8, with a hint of bias, obviously, for one of them. Real Madrid, Man City, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Bayer Leverkusen, Liverpool, and Barcelona. I've gone for Barcelona. So basically, it was between Liverpool, Barcelona, PSG, and Dortmund for the last 2 spots. I do think that the other 6 teams are secured to get into the top 8. It just depends on Barca's injury crisis, but because there's 8 matches, I assume that Gavi and De Jong will be back for some of their matches, which is huge for them. Then we've got PSG, Dortmund, Leipzig, Juventus, Atletico, Atlanta, AC Milan. They were kind of obvious. I've gone for Sporting Club under Amorim. I think that they will find a way into the playoffs. I also think the same for Aston Villa. Obviously they're a good team, but they're in pot 4 just because of the coefficient. It doesn't mean they're a bad team. This is a big shock, though. Is it a big shock? Not really. It might be, actually, because they're not normally very good in the Champions League. But I have gone for Celtic to get into the playoff phase. The reason I've gone for Celtic is I've looked at their games, and honestly, I know it's Celtic, but they have got some very winnable games here. They've got a really nice draw. PSV, I think, is expected. I've gone for Monaco because I think they're a good team. They have got a really nice squad. Shakhtar Donetsk, I think, have got a bit quite strong in Europe normally. I have gone for Stuttgart. It was between Stuttgart and Young Boys, and I've gone for Stuttgart, but it was close. We'll have to see. Then I've gone for Red Bull Salzburg. Again, a little bit biased because of obviously Pep Linders, Stefan Bajcetic, Bobby Clark, etc. But I think that there's a few games they can win, and obviously every point counts. I think they'll sneak into the playoff phase. And then I've also gone for Lille as well. Um, that is going to be the end, though, of my UCL league phase predictions. So do let me know who you think will advance into the next round. I'm not going to predict who's going to play who because I'm not actually 100% sure if it's going to be like 9th versus 24th, 10th versus 23rd, or if it'll just be randomly drawn. So I don't want to predict who's going to, because I haven't predicted 1st to 8th. I've just predicted the top 8 in any order. But that is my UCL league phase predictions. Let me know what you predict down below. And yeah, I mean, there might be another Spud Ball this weekend. I haven't thought about it, but I'm thinking of rating summer signings because I want to talk a bit about Federico Chiesa. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and this will be uploaded 6 p.m. tomorrow, which is Friday. Alright, bye for now.